Hey guys, I hope you're well. This is going to be a bit of a different video from me. We're going to be reflecting on Helene, the impacts that we saw from it, specifically the inland impacts, as folks still clean up. We're also going to look at some historic storms that shared some similarities. This is actually the infrared of Hurricane Hugo impacting a similar path, although Hugo came here through Charleston up through Charlotte and then kind of like this really over here, but you get the idea. And also we're going to look back at Camille, which was another historic storm. I've also been looking at some of the videos that I put out last week, and as I'm sitting here with the lights finally back on, I'm thinking this was such an eerie thing to look back at now that it's happened. And, I remember last week I was using words like catastrophic, historic, and people on YouTube were lighting me up saying, it's clickbait. You're just trying to get everybody hyped up. And what did we see? Historic, catastrophic. There were mud flows, debris flow. I mean, look at this. 30 inches of rain fell in Brunswick County, North Carolina, 2 feet in Mount Mitchell State Park. And a lot of that all drained down into the valleys, places like Asheville, where I say only 13 inches, right? But clearly devastated as we got that rain that just funneled down into the valleys all over the place too, even in places where it doesn't even have water, right? In places that were generally dry, we saw those big mud flows and debris flows. So just absolutely devastating when you throw 2 feet of rain down on top of steep terrain. This is what you end up with. Horrible situation. And not only that, a lot of wind with this storm too as it moved north. This was the forecast as we were looking at it last week. And I got to tell you, this storm track followed pretty much what the models were showing us. That really quick motion too, I think that is the key. Someone was asking, why are we dealing with a hurricane all the way up in North Carolina that came ashore in Florida? How can it be this strong? Well, it moved so fast. There wasn't really anything to slow it down. In fact, it got caught up in the upper low that was shown just a moment ago right here. Not unlike any other storm though, right? I mean, come on, we have upper lows that interact with tropical systems all the time, but boy, it moved so fast and it had so much moisture. And that's another thing too. Some folks were asking, why was there so much rain? And I'm not even going to entertain the man-made conspiracy theories out there. But listen, this was a tropical cyclone fueled by the heat energy of the Gulf of Mexico. No doubt about it. And because that upper low was to the west, it moved so fast, that upper low, which spans hundreds of miles, again, just devastating the east side of that. That was where the eye wall was. And if you think about it, the eye wall, as it moved ashore here, it kind of fell apart on the north and west and even the south side. But that northeast side of that eye wall really almost held some structure all the way up here into parts of southern West Virginia. And boy, did we see wind damage all along that path too. So looking back, the wind, the rain, there's folks without power even tonight and still dealing with flooding. So awful, catastrophic, historic. It'll be one that the people of the southern Appalachians, I think it'll be the one that you remember for the rest of your lives. I know I will. Let's talk about another storm that if you live in this area, if you live in the Carolinas or Tennessee, even Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio even, you probably remember Hurricane Hugo, which eventually got downgraded to a tropical storm that came ashore right here near Charleston, South Carolina. So many times last week, I heard folks comparing this to Hugo, at least the local impacts into the mountains. And Hugo, again, coming from a different area, the thing was, Hugo was a quick mover too, right? Moving ashore so fast and moving to the north quickly. But look, it was much closer here to the mountains. It didn't have as far to go. That upper low was able to just push Helene to the north. And because, again, that forward motion was so quick, it didn't lose its strength. Hugo, though, a little bit slower, but still an impact all the way from the Carolinas north into Virginia, and then eventually that storm moved into West Virginia. A lot of down trees with that one, flooding as well. And if you look back at Hugo, I mean, this happened right around the same time. Well, not exactly, but I mean, we're talking the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of September. That's when the real impact started to move into the lower 48. Now, Hugo caused impacts well inland, and we did get rain, but Camille was just a total different beast really here. This was a really strong storm, a category 5 here that moved ashore along the Gulf Coast. It just devastated Mississippi all the way up into Tennessee. And Camille eventually started to interact with a cold front and then quickly turned to the east. As it did so, it started to just produce a tremendous amount of rain right here across the mountains of Virginia. You had a little bit of upslope flow here into the mountains, and some of these areas picked up a good 20 to 30 inches of rain. So when the elements are right, you can just get catastrophic flooding with these tropical systems. Freshwater flooding is the biggest killer when it comes to tropical storms, hurricanes, even tropical depressions that move inland. And unfortunately tonight, the death toll continues to rise across the western mountains of North Carolina as they clean up still here from Helene, also into the mountains of upper East Tennessee and really East Tennessee and down into Georgia too. And as far north as West Virginia, all of these areas, the central and southern Appalachians, really from West Virginia down all the way into Georgia, these areas have been devastated. And it's going to take months, if not years, to recover from this as the construction and the rebuilding begins in many areas just to get road access. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So anyway, my goal on this channel is not to hype. It's not to push things out to get you all excited or fearful. I hope that I can provide some insight, at least to some things when I see them happening. And I hope that's what I did last week. And going forward, it's what I'm going to continue to do. So if you enjoy this kind of content, that doesn't mean you enjoy this type of weather, but if you enjoy this type of analysis, looking at things, forecasting, especially as we go into winter, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed. I'm just absolutely blown away as the number of subscribers continue to go up. I thank you so much for watching. Be safe wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.